Welcome to Love Bites. Love Bites. Love Bites. Love Bites. By Dr. Tara, your destination for sexual wellness and mindful relationship advice. Hope you're having an orgasmic day.
How does your culture, religion, and family creep into your bedroom? Dun, dun, dun. Hi, loves. This is Tara here. And today we are chatting with the hottest California licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Tashana Johnson, who is also the host of the talk radio show called Let's Get Intimate with Dr. Tashana Johnson on KBLA 1580 AM, weekdays 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it's an amazing show. I know that because I was on it. Hi, Dr. Tashana Johnson.
Hi, Dr. Tara. How are you?
Amazing. Actually, orgasmic.
That's always great.
Had amazing morning sex. My favorite. My favorite sex is morning sex.
Yes, gets your day started right.
Oh, yeah. I'm just filled with the feel-good hormones and so excited to chat with you today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we get started with questions, I'd like to just briefly ask, how did you become a licensed clinical psychologist?
Well, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a doctor, but I thought for sure I was going to be a pediatrician. And then I started, figuring out, I'm going to have to do some things that I just do not want to do. And so my mom started asking me, well, what would you do for free? And I remember thinking to myself, I would talk to people for free. And she says, always do what you would do for free, because then you never work a day in your life. And so I became a psychologist. I went to, I had a little derail for a second. I was a teen mom. So I went to junior college, then I transferred to Cal State San Bernardino and finished my bachelor's degree. And then I worked in the field for a little bit as a counselor. And I thought to myself, I need more skills. And so I went back to school and I got my master's and my doctorate degree from California School of Professional Psychology. Took the exam, became a psychologist. But while in my program, there was a track you could choose to either do like community psychology, you could do health psychology, or individual, family, and couples. I chose individual, family, and couples. And even within that, I could do sex therapy. Oh my gosh, coming from my background where we didn't talk about sex, I was like, I'll take that one. Sign me up. So
wow.
I became a licensed clinical psychologist and I specialize in couples and sex therapy.
Wow. Okay. There were so many things to say about that particular introduction. Number one, how inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
So inspirational. And, being a teen mom and like push through and being this awesome mom. I'm sure your kids like love and adore you and think like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. And to, push through and like receive your higher ed degree and become this really like a role model to a lot of people in and outside of your community. I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
so you really jumped right in. You jumped into the icy cold ocean water. Or I don't know, maybe it's really hot lava. Which one was it?
Probably hot lava.
So, okay, I do have questions for you about all of the topics that we're going to talk about, but I'm really curious about this first like year or 2 years of training in sex therapy. Was there one particular case or anything that pops up that you thought was, wow, this is interesting, or like, wow, this is a really prominent problem?
So let me start with, I remember, we dove in really kind of quick. Like we started.
Yeah.
So they actually do the sex therapy part first, and then they do the training in the couples therapy. And you would think it comes the other way, like you do the couples therapy and then you do the sex therapy. But there was so much that you learn about yourself through sex, right? and
Mhm.
the intimacy of being a sexual being. And so, I think my school got it right doing the sex therapy part first.
Mhm.
And I remember being there, and not a case that sticks out, but what we had to watch. We had to watch
Mm.
something. It's called it was an HBO special, Tell Me You Love Me. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is porn, right? And why and why are we watching this in class? And the uncomfortable feelings that I had, right?
Yeah.
And I began to think about, where is this coming from? And I was worried because our classrooms had like wooden doors, but they were made out of all glass. And I was wondering who's walking by and seeing me watch this. Like all of this is
Wow.
going on in my head, right? But I was like, but I'm in school, and so it was like this battle of. But I'm in school. I'm supposed to be learning this. This is a part of the curriculum. But who's watching me watch this? So like all of this is going on for me as I'm sitting in this class, right? Learning
Wow.
about sex therapy.
All of that self-awareness and self-analysis
Yeah. And
while
a
learning.
whole lot of conflict too. Like, am I
Really?
doing this? Am I doing the right thing?
Wow. Okay. Okay. And I feel like that's such a good like intro into our questions about culture, religion, and
Hmm.
family.
Oh yeah.
So, let's get started. I have questions for you, Dr. Jashana Johnson.
Okay.
The first question would be, how does culture come into play in the playroom?
Wow, that's a really great question. And I think when I think about answering that question, you have to ask yourself, and if anybody's asking this question, you have to ask yourself, where do individuals learn about sex and intimacy, right? And through what experiences do they form their basis of perceptions and motivations and interactions when it comes to sex and intimacy? And we don't come here, we come here as sexual beings. We don't come here knowing what intimacy is and what sex is. That is a learned behavior. So who's teaching us, right? So that might be, we're definitely influenced by culture, our family culture, our societal culture, like culture everywhere, school culture. We're
Yeah,
we're completely influenced, and depending on the culture's perception of sex and sexuality, those are the things that get projected onto you, and you begin to learn that, and you begin to take those thoughts with you into your bedroom, into the playroom, right? And so
totally.
just like I was sitting in that classroom thinking, who's watching me
Mm-hmm.
watch this? That is some of the things that happens in our playroom as well. Who's in the bed? I call it the crowded bedroom.
Yes, the crowded bedroom.
I call it the crowded bedroom. And when you think about um where you learned about sex and sexuality and what you're doing, and even owning it, right? Because owning who we are as sexual beings comes from our cultural um and family and religion aspects of who
Yeah,
we are. And
totally.
so yeah, we might get into the bed with a lot of hesitation because we've been told no, 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 you can't
Yeah,
do this, right? Or save it, or even if you weren't told anything and there was no conversation about it, those not having a conversation said a
has
lot about
meaning.
it too. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Like omission of information or just
Yes.
not having a conversation is still, it still
It's still
speaks something.
communication. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I want to kind of dive into the aspect of culture a little bit because
Mhm.
when we say culture, it's so rich,
Yes.
right? One of the things that's easier to see and experience is racial background.
Yes.
And racial background can come into play, especially when you grow up in that particular culture, because
Absolutely.
it doesn't mean, uh, because not always that you grow up with the people similar to you.
Hmm.
'Cause some people grow up with a lot of people that are different from them.
Yes.
But in this case of, for example, I grew up in Thailand, right?
Hmm.
I'm Asian. I grew up in Thailand. 99% of the people are Asian. So people are of the same racial background. And how we are taught in Thailand, in Thai culture, and actually a lot of Asian cultures, is that women are supposed to be this like really soft, really feminine, a little bit shy when it comes to sex. You never initiate sex because who are you? You're not a slut, right? Like if you initiate sex, you're a bad woman. Like you're a bad girl, you're a slut. And only like bad girls who are raised bad in, families that neglect their children raise this kind of girl. And it's portrayed everywhere. It's portrayed mainly in TV drama. If my audience, if any of you have ever seen Thai drama, literally 99% of Thai drama, the good woman is very shy. Or maybe she's like tomboyish and assertive, but not sex. Never talk about sex. Never act like you like sex. Never, like, always kind of hesitant and I don't know when it comes to sex, right? Which is to me like a total fucking bullshit. And I hate it so much because you know what? Growing up, I was sexually curious and I wanted to be like, my body was sexually active. My body and my brain was telling me, let's touch ourselves. But I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like I should because in my culture, like, I don't want to be a slut. Right. So all of that is so fucked up.
When you take your example right then and there and you think about, there's this natural desire to want to touch myself. There's this natural desire to be a sexual being. But my culture has said, if I touch myself, if I initiate sex, then I'm a slut, right? And I don't want to be a slut because in my culture, sluts are not praised, right?
Right.
And we all desire to want to be validated and praised. But if I'm a slut, I'm not going to get that. I think about even in the Black community, right? I grew up in a Christian conservative Black community. And one of the things we know too is that as these things keep getting passed down in our culture, like it becomes a part of us, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about what Black sex and intimacy would look like without white supremacy, then I have to go back to even like the plantation. And even these stereotypes that come from, when you think about stereotypes of Asian women, when you think about stereotypes of Black women, when you think about stereotypes of Latin women, they all come with a lot of different sexual stereotypes, right?
Oh yeah.
And you have to either ask yourself, am I living up to that? And if I'm not, then I'm inadequate. Or the stereotypes perhaps your partner is supposed to live up to. And if they don't, then they're inadequate. And so these are all of the dynamics that play out in the bedroom when we get in the bed, in our playroom, right?
Yeah.
Am I inadequate because I'm supposed to be? There's a lot of stereotypes around Black women being aggressive or
being like very sexual.
They're being very sexual. And so then it's like, do I live up to that stereotype, or do I find myself hiding that because I don't want people to think that is true? Right. So there's all these things that end up happening in the playroom that takes us out of being present and really enjoying pleasure, where we're really trying to rectify some of the things that's going on for us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great point. Because even now, because we're talking about women, female experiences because we're women, but I'm thinking about the stereotypes for men.
Absolutely.
And like Black men, the stereotypes, like you're like a stallion, like you can,
exactly, right. And like, then what happens when you don't have this extra
horse penis?
Right?
Well, but like, how do you feel about also like music portraying that stereotype on and on and on and on?
It's a part of the culture. It's a part of the culture. It's a part of the bigger culture, the society that has played into these stereotypes and these narratives. And it continues to really wreak havoc on our sex lives.
Yeah, I almost I think that it almost becomes this fetishism about people of other colors or white people trying to have sex with black men because of the like the penis narrative and like the fuck like a stallion narrative. And I think that can contribute heavily to performance anxiety, like sexual anxiety, right? What if you're a black man with an average size penis?
Right. Which the majority of them do have an average size penis.
Yes, you're just human. Like,
yes, exactly.
Right. Like, but how would you feel because people, quote unquote, like expect a certain thing due to the culture, due to the narrative, due to porn?
Exactly. Yeah. And we do know that porn will only cast really black men who are
massive.
Massive, right? And if they are not massive, then you see them typically doing softer porn.
Right.
More loving porn, right? Because it doesn't match the stereotype of big black aggressive penis on a black man, right? And
wow.
so we keep this narrative going throughout everything, throughout movies, throughout porn, throughout, romances.
Yeah.
A lot of times you get caught up reading these romances, erotica, and you think that is what it's supposed to look like and feel like. And our sex lives are not looking like what we're reading.
No, not at all. And honestly, back to the stereotype too, and I'm thinking about Asian men.
Oh yeah, there's exactly.
They are not getting good stereotypes there.
No, and may not even be given a chance because of stereotypes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So imagine what that does to who he is as a person, who he is as a sexual.
Yeah. How you feel about yourself, your sexual self-esteem.
Exactly. Yeah. Sensuality is about our awareness of our bodies and being and accepting that, right? So much of sex gets thrown into just the doing part,
right?
But the feeling part and the being aware and the sensations through our all five senses, what we hear, what we feel, what we see, how you feel about yourself and how you feel about what you're doing plays a huge role into pleasure. One thing about, I use David Schnarch's quantum model, who says, in order to reach the first threshold, which is arousal, and then the second threshold, which is orgasmic, it takes feelings, thoughts, and sensations to make your total stimulation. But if you're feeling inadequate before you even get to the bedroom, how do you even reach these thresholds? By feeling inadequate. So Asian men who have negative stereotypes, and I think, a lot of them can be negative, even if sometimes we think black men having big dicks and penises is a good stereotype. It's not necessarily a good stereotype for the man the black man who has an average penis.
Right. Oh my gosh, totally. Yeah, because then you're like, oh my God, do y'all expect me to have this like 12-inch penis?
Right. Right.
Like, yeah, here's my 6-inch average American size.
Exactly.
But it's
world size.
Yeah. Honestly, I want to do like a little PSA right now about, I think all penises, okay, let's do most penises are beautiful. I think most penises are beautiful. And as a woman, there's so much about confidence, self-esteem, and what you bring to the bedroom as a human.
Yes.
That's outside of that penis size. And then how you use it.
Yes.
Yeah, like I feel like in the past I have had amazing orgasmic, like I came multiple times with like a 5-inch penis.
Yeah.
And I've had sex with someone with a 7-8-inch penis and did not come once.
Yeah.
So it's really not bad.
It's not. We have to debunk some of these myths, right? We have to debunk
totally
myths that are out there. A lot of times, there would be no need for the company O-Nut to exist if everybody wanted a large penis. O-nut
Oh,
is,
yeah.
is a device, not a device, but instruments that you can put on a penis that's too big. Because a lot of women do not like big penises. It can be very painful.
Hold up. There is a device for a penis too big
It's like little rings that you put on. It's like squishy. It's like bumpers. It's
to make your
squishy
penis a little smaller.
so that you don't go so deep. Yeah, it's a
Oh
bumper.
my gosh.
Yes, it's called O-nuts. And they're like squishy little kind of donuts that go around the penis that keeps it from going so deep because the woman is in pain. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
heard
it's
one of my
painful.
colleagues tell me one time, one of my colleagues said, running is for track, not in the bedroom. If she's running, it's painful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
so
great
it's not.
point.
And if you talk to men who have really large penises, they said it's a blessing and a curse because
Mm-hmm.
so these stereotypes that we get embedded with in us and projected onto us really do have an impact on how we are able to really show up in our
Mm-hmm.
playroom.
Oh, totally. And honestly, from all of this conversation, I can't leave out religion because when we
Yes.
talk about culture, religion is a huge part.
Mhm.
So, what kind of influence does religion have on people's ability to enjoy sex?
Whew, I say
Deep, deep question.
yeah, religion has played a huge role in our ability to experience pleasure and really enjoy sex. When you think about most religions, right?
Mm-hmm.
They talk about not having sex before marriage. It's only
Mm-hmm.
for marriage. And that you're almost like these damaged goods if you have sex before marriage.
You're going to
Well,
hell.
yeah, you're going to hell and you're damaged goods. So even if you don't go to hell right away, the rest of your life, you're damaged goods. How
Right.
do you show up in a world, let alone your playroom, feeling like damaged goods?
Right. Like, how do you then
Hmm.
build up this confidence, feeling sexually powerful
You can't.
as, someone that has been indoctrinated your whole life that, oh,
Absolutely.
because you did that, you're now not worthy.
Right, right. And so for me, I had to learn that my sexual encounters had nothing to do with who God said I was and how
Right.
God loved me, right? But that's not everybody's experience. They go years and years and years, and even if they do it, they have sex outside of marriage, and then they decide they are going to get married, and then they're air quotes, they're allowed to have sex,
Right.
they're still impacted by
Right.
this self that they've taken on, and it
Mm-hmm.
truly impacts their ability um to enjoy the pleasure in the bedroom because they're still feeling inadequate. And so these emotional filters really impact who we are in the bedroom.
Totally. And, you know, so many people reach out to me saying, like, I'm religious, but I'm also curious about all of this. How do I reconcile this? I always share my personal story. I'm religious and sexual. I
Hmm.
pray every day. Every day I
And have
pray
sex.
and have sex. Yeah, if I don't have sex, I masturbate, but I engage in
Hmm.
sexual activity and
Hmm.
my own sensuality every
Hmm.
day. And I
Hmm.
pray every day.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's how I reconcile it is being sexual and enjoying my sexual energy with and without partner has
Hmm.
nothing to do with my faith in my God, my faith in the universe, and my prayers to, all the people up there. I can do both. And I can
In
be a
my
good person
Yeah.
while enjoying all of the benefits of being religious and have faith
Mhm.
and being sexual and have sex.
Yeah. And here's my thing. I, for me, believe that God is pro pleasure. God is pro sex. He
God is
created us.
pro pleasure. Can
Yes.
someone start this hashtag?
And God is pro sex. He created us this way, right? God
Right.
created us this way and wanted us to enjoy it. Now, I often say too, I'm not saying go against what your religion is, but I
Hmm.
also say too, write down what things you believe, what things your religion believe, and where do they meet? And then ask yourself, am I not doing something because I don't believe it's right? Or am I not doing something because I was told that this is not right? And how do you begin to reconcile that? Because in any religion, no one does anything 100% the religion says. So how do you
Right.
how have you picked and choose the
Right.
one thing that you adhere to? And then you have to ask yourself, am I not doing this because I'm scared? Is this out of
Right.
fear? I never want anybody to violate their own erotic integrity, but I
Hmm.
do want you to question where these things come from.
What a great approach. And erotic integrity.
Yes.
Ooh. Would you say that that's kind of like your boundaries and
Yes,
what you believe, what
absolutely.
you stand for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. I do think though that we're talking about this right now. We're saying, God is pro pleasure, but some people would say that's not what the Bible said. The Bible said uh, sex is temptation. And it's kind of here for us to like learn how to control ourselves and like to
Mhm.
stop ourselves. How should we reinterpret it to like the modern world and modern society where we're all pro pleasure and pro sex and really like sexual self-esteem and sexual agency?
Well, here's the thing. I do agree that sex can be temptation and we should learn how to control ourselves. Because if I see a 12-year-old boy, I should be able to control myself and I should not.
True, 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 true.
And so there is some truth to that. But
Right.
what sits right with you, right? And I also say the Bible says study to know for thyself. We cannot just leave it up to our religious leaders to interpret our text for us. It is important to understand it. I tell people all the time, if you are a Christian or you use the Bible, go read Song of Solomon. That is a very erotic
Ooh.
chapter, a very erotic chapter. And so, again, never violate your own erotic integrity, but also study to know for thyself so that you are doing what feels good
Mhm.
for you, both mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
Yes. Oh, what a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my next question is also a huge factor in all of our lives, our family.
Mm.
How our family, right? I mean, some of us have, oh, like, such a positive reaction, like, ooh, family. Some of us
Right.
have, oh,
Yes.
family, right? So,
Mhm.
so different.
Yeah.
How do they creep into our intimate life?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Again, our families are also impacted by these bigger cultures. They are also impacted by some of the things that we are impacted.
Totally.
And
It's like an
and
umbrella, right?
right. And so they begin to perpetuate these things in our homes as well. My
Yeah.
kids have I've been doing sex therapy and been a psychologist since my kids were very young. So I created a very open environment where they learn. So
Mhm.
they have you see vulvas and stuff like
Yeah.
that all over my house and
Yeah.
and books and things like that, and they've had an opportunity to ask questions. But that wasn't the kind of home that I grew up in. My mom didn't talk about sex, and even when she hears me talk about sex, even on the radio or podcasts or things like that, she's like, I don't even know what, she still cringes
Yeah.
because of the thing. And so when I think about how my mom cringed, I remember sitting in that class and how I cringed, and so
That's
how
right.
these things get passed down even not even verbally, but even in body language and how we handle things, right?
Yeah, it's
And
your
so
intergenerational cringe.
exactly, that's right. And so I didn't want my kids to have that cringe, right? I didn't want them
Oh,
to have to experience that. So it stopped with me. And so hopefully,
hallelujah.
so hopefully with me, with the next generation, which my daughter is now a marriage family therapist and she deals with couples and sex therapy as
So
well. So,
beautiful.
and so, my hope is that we can begin to have conversations in our families that are healthy, that
Mhm.
remove some of this crowdedness in our
Mm.
playrooms, right? In our bedrooms. So one family at a time, one person at a time can really begin to change the narrative around have we know everybody's doing it, otherwise we wouldn't
Right.
continue to populate
Exist.
this this world, right? So why not have honest conversations in our families? We start early. We're born sexual beings. We start early
Right.
by teaching kids. Why is it that we can teach them their nose, their mouth, their ears, their
Right.
fingers? Why aren't we teaching them this is your penis, not private
Right.
parts, right? Why
Right.
aren't we
Not like
teaching
this is
them
your, and then like give it a different name.
yeah, and
This is
there's
your
shame.
flower.
Yeah, and there's shame around it, right?
Right.
And so if we're naming our vulvas a flower, then you're there's some shame and whether we know it then or not as a child, we begin to say, "Oh, this is my flower." Like, well, what is it going to grow? Like all of these things that is going to do I need to water it? I mean, like,
Yeah.
all of these
Also,
things.
this like narrative of like your pussy is like a flower,
Yeah.
right? This is super toxic because
Yeah.
this narrative tells young girls, like teenage girls, ooh, you know what they buy? They buy pussy perfume.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, they
It is
buy perfume
yes, it's
and they
toxic
spray it on their like
on
vulva
their vulva.
and
And it
it
is not
hurts.
yeah. And not only that, you are changing the pH balance of your
Yes.
vagina, which means that you are more prone to urinary tract infections, you're more prone to bad bacteria, like all of these
Totally.
things. You're changing everything. So now you're dealing with nasty, stinky discharge because the vagina is trying to clean
Right.
itself from these chemicals. You don't need anything in your vagina.
Right.
It is a
100.
self-cleaning mechanism there.
100. It is a self-cleaning oven
Yes,
and leave it alone.
exactly.
It is beautiful. They're all beautiful and they all smell great the way it
And
should smell.
yes, and learn to love your smell.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is what I do sometimes and some people might think it's gross, but I don't think so. Sometimes like I touch myself and then I smell my finger
Yeah,
because I feel
yeah.
like it smells good.
You know what? Sometimes people are more willing to smell others, their partners, but they're not willing to smell themselves. And my question is that a form of self-hate? Because
Oh. Oh, that's a good question.
you know, you might put your mouth on your partner, but when they put their mouths on you, you feel a certain way, and then maybe perhaps you don't want to kiss them because you think it's dirty. That is that a form of self hate?
Oh my God, that's a great question. And I'm going to share with you. I actually had that thought for the longest time. I
Hmm.
have only this last, to be really honest, like 2 years,
Hmm.
have been embracing, like hardcore embracing oral
Hmm.
on me. For the longest time, I felt like, ugh, I don't know. I don't want you to have to do it because I'm not
Yeah,
shy, but I don't know if it smells good. I don't know if it's
right.
clean.
Again,
Ah,
cultural impact on us.
yes.
Yes. Do you know it is a $7.5 billion industry that is
What?
making money off of women's insecurities of trying to smell good?
Oh my gosh.
$7.5 billion
What is
every
this
year.
industry?
Smell good for our vulvas, for like things like yes,
Like perfume.
yes,
and wipes and like
Yes.
smell good stuff.
Exactly.
Oh my
And
gosh.
washes. And
Yeah. So I have not used any type of soap for the last, I can't even remember, like 8 years. And it smells great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't need those.
No. Yes. You can use a gentle soap on the where your hair grows and
Yeah.
the creases of your legs, but inside, no, you just need water.
And your butt crack. I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah. Please wash that.
especially if you go regularly, you should
Yes,
really.
yes. Please wash that.
I wanted to ask one last thing about family.
Mhm.
So if we, and you're a therapist, so I'm assuming that you've seen this quite a lot in your like
Oh,
many
yeah.
years of your professional life. If we grow up in a very sexually conservative family, and I mean, my family is sexually conservative, but they're not like punishing me. But
Right.
some people grew up in a very toxic, like sexually conservative family where they're actually
Sexually
punished.
repressive.
Yeah. Okay, not conservative, repressive.
Repressive.
Yeah. What do you say would be the first and second steps in recovering from that, like as a self healer?
I believe that is something that you really, really need to work out with perhaps a sex therapist.
Yeah.
It, and because they can really walk you through it. They're not telling you what to do. They're really walking through the meanings you have assigned to who you are as a sexual being, how you show up in the world as a sexual being, and begin to dismantle some of the toxic things that has stifled you as a sexual being. I do not believe that we are not supposed to be sexually expressive. I think that there are appropriate ways, of course, right? Legal, ethical, things like that. But I think that those are things that you can begin to comb through. And just like you said, up until 2 years ago, you really weren't, excited about receiving oral sex.
Right.
Sometimes we don't even know that these things exist until we have time to really kind of talk about it out loud. And where do you find that safe space to really talk about it out loud? Because I'll be honest with you, I know women talk about their sex lives, but I know that they're not always honest about their sex lives. I know men talk about their sex lives, and I know that they're not always honest about their sex lives because, again, trying to keep up with these cultural expectations and stereotypes and things like that. And so the most honest place that you can do that is probably with someone you trust and or in therapy. And if you're in therapy, you can really unravel some of these things and really question these beliefs. And if you still at the end believe that, then fine, that's your beliefs. But if you begin to unravel some of the things that stifles you, suppress you, and oppress you, right? We can begin to shed those things and be able to show up freer in this world and in our playroom.
Lovely. Lovely. What a good way to end. And I believe in sex therapy and I believe in sex coaching. I also believe in like even having like a life coach as well.
Yes. Yeah, and sex education.
Like,
A lot of people don't most people don't need sex therapy.
right.
Most people need comprehensive sex education.
Hallelujah. Great way to end. So I'd like to move into our fun game segment.
Okay.
Are you ready, Dr. Joshana
I don't
Johnson?
know.
So we're gonna play hot or not,
Okay.
where I'm gonna give you a word and you literally just tell me hot or not.
Okay.
Or other things if you feel like it.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, anal.
Hot.
Number 2, skinny dipping.
Definitely hot.
Number 3, bondage.
Hot, hot.
Number 4, threesomes.
Hot.
Number 5, pegging.
Not.
Number 6, sex on the beach.
Hot.
Number 7, deep throat.
Hot.
Number 8, using a vibrator while penetrating.
Hot.
Number 9, role play.
Hot.
And number 10, swinging.
Not for me, but it is hot.
Hot as a concept. Oh, thank you so much for this illuminating and really engaging conversation today. Before you go, any plugs?
Yeah, you know what? You can follow me on the intimacy seminars. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. On Twitter, I'm got_intimacy. And of course, you can always listen to my show Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. if you download the KBLA 1580 app on your Android or iPhone. I'm there, and I'd love to gain new listeners and new callers. You can call in with your questions.
Listen to this, y'all. You can literally call in with questions every single day. It's like free therapy. Every single day from 7 to 9 p.m., you can actually call in and ask questions.
Yes, you can.
It's awesome. And before we go, I'd like to share Dr. Johnson's hashtag.
Yes.
He has this hashtag. Can you talk about your hashtag?
Yes, it's actually a trademark. It's a registered trademark. It's hashtag Sex Lives Matter. I have shirts and or water bottles on my website, and that's the intimacyseminars.com. But yes, Sex Lives Matter. It is so important because our sex lives do matter. Sex can be hurtful or it can be healing. And my hope is that we're moving towards more healing through our sex lives.
Oh, beautiful. Sex is healing and sex lives matter.
Yes.
That was a beautiful conversation with Dr. Deshauna Johnson. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank
And
you, Dr. Tara.
have an orgasmic day, y'all.
Thanks for listening. This was Love Bites. Love Bites. By Dr. Tara. Follow Dr. Tara on social media at lovebites.co. Have an orgasmic day.